Everybody knows girls can't sword fight.
Yes, thank you, Andrew Clavin.
Andrew Clavin, who trolls the internet, got massive clicks by putting up a thing saying, girls can't sword fight. And everybody stupidly piled on that, giving him a gazillion views. Guys, don't feed the trolls. When somebody says that nunchaku are awful, you don't have to go look. It's a stupid opinion. You don't have to engage. If someone says girls can't sword fight and kittens aren't cute, just let it be. But the internet cannot let it be.
The internet is like that.
All right, so, however, I do want to head right into a dangerous topic, and that is fencing while female. Because the old manuals were all written for guys because the idea that you would consciously and intentionally send lots of women to die on a battlefield just makes people kind of go in a corner and go, ugh, in spite of the fact that historically speaking, there has always been a minority of soldiers who were female.
Yep.
They just wore dude's uniform and they went to fight. Has always happened. There are things we need to discuss. One of which is, as many teenage boys have noticed, girls tend to have chests. And that can make things a little bit awkward to find your alignment. So you may need to work around that until you find something that lets your arm be in good alignment, but that doesn't have you mashing your chest down uncomfortably the whole time. Now, once you get used to wearing a chest protector, the shape of the chest protector will take care of that. And you may need to modify your chest protector based on your cup size and your back size and how that integrates into your general bra size. Anybody who's actually done the shopping knows it's as much about back shape as it is about cup shape, right? So when you get a chest protector, it may need a little bending, it may need some cutouts, it may need modification to suit your torso.
Indeed. Not that I'm a poster child for that particular issue, but you know.
And it's not all deficit, of course. If you do arm bars and you happen to have a heavy chest, that's an I win button, because they ain't getting through that. And then you have this other hand free to go, hi. Who's the bad man with a knife? Who's the bad man with a knife? Let's go talk to Officer Friendly.
Again, not
your thing.
Not something I can experience.
Okay, so what can you attest to?
One thing I definitely have noticed fencing our lineage is that it's easier for dudes to get that nice center alignment because of the shoulder width. Because, you know, guys in general have wider shoulders than women do. So for me and for other small women who are fencing our lineage, we have to be really careful not to gank our wrists trying to get that center alignment.
Yeah, and we're going to take that heads on. We're going to do a little break right into this and go, la! This is how you avoid that problem. And yeah, joint angle does make a big difference. It's the same reason why guys tend to spread some. Much narrower wheelbase here. Guys have really awful turn-in because everything's closer together, and forcing that turn-in is frequently painful inside the hip joints themselves. Okay, so we definitely have to unpack this. If Kat holds the saber, and she thinks of her forearm being straight, but she judges by the inside, what's actually happening, see that big divot in her wrist? Her forearm is straight on the inside, but on the outside, that's not straight at all. In fact, that's the same alignment of the wrist that's going to give you carpal tunnel syndrome if you keyboard like that. I have lost students to this early on before I realized I had to really be a bastard about it. Female fencers, in general, don't have as dense bones. They can't abuse themselves as long for this without getting in trouble. Now, it'll catch up with guys if they have bad alignment. It'll catch up with women early. Align your forearm on the outside, your wrist will feel better. And we have a really easy way of demonstrating whether you're in good alignment or not. Okay, Kat is going to be in bad alignment. And I'm going to walk up to Kat and I'm going to do this. I'll hold this so it doesn't move around.
Okay.
What's that feel like?
Not so good.
Better? Easy test. If your students are doing this, and especially if they're doing this, this is terrible. Nobody wants to absorb impact like that. I mean, look at her. Oh, you hate it so much, right? I would too. Now that force is going right through the joints rather than shearing across them, and she is having a much, much better time fencing with that 260-pound corn-fed boy who joined last week who hasn't learned to control his power yet. Because that force is now going down to her feet into the ground where God intended, rather than, okay, Nebraskan, let's fence. This is objectively terrible. This is great.
Indeed.
So another thing you may have noticed is that many people you fence are larger and have longer reach. How's that?
I have noticed that. That is a thing.
That is a thing. So how do you do to handle that?
Train courage, train aggression, and just laugh while you're getting in close and, whacking them.
So what about when people want to get really super in close because they say, ha, she is small and probably shy. I can muscle my way into this. What do you do?
Well, so there was one guy I was fencing, and he was from a club that was in general very grabby. Like they really wanted to get in there and grapple. And that's kind of stressful. And I ended up kind of kicking him in the man area. Not hard, but that did put an end to that conversation.
So if you are smaller and you have a lower center of gravity, there are throws and grapples which are to your advantage. For example, any competent judo instructor who teaches the entire curriculum can go immediately to a list of throws that are favor the small person throws. You can use your lower center of gravity and a strategic grip to take somebody off balance so you can return to shanking them with your weapon. You can also learn to get offline and kick them, which is ace. What else comes up? And because of the height difference, you may find, what do you do with your 3 and 4? It's a little bit different than what most people do.
Oh, so yeah, for our lineage, my 3 and 4 tend to be a little bit higher than a taller person might form those guards, just because more of me is available up here as a target, I guess.
Yeah. And this applies if you're a shorter guy too. If most of the attacks are going to be coming in this range because of the height of the fencer, generally speaking, it makes sense to predispose yourself to carrying your guards a little bit on the high side. And you can always adopt the angle for whatever you want, but a 1 can be down here. And if you're a smaller person, a 1 down here is a really vicious thing to do when someone gets in close. And if they get in close and they're grabby, you can drop that 1 and hit with a false edge on the back of their leg. Hi, you charged me. I'm so glad you did that. Thank you. That was my I win button. Yay! What else?
I had something else and it fell right out of my head. So what have you got?
I want to head on the courage thing straight up. Especially where grappling is concerned, the shit quality men who prey on women generally tend to do so with grapples. It is a fundamental social thing that any woman who's fencing is going to have to deal with grappling because it's legitimate. Saber fencing uses a lot less of them because a curved weapon means most wrestling moves are suicidal to pull on a saber. If you get me here with a saber and you start grappling me, I'm just going to say thank you, because I can bring my body right here and cut very easily, as we've shown in prior videos, in a way that a straight blade has a really rough time with. But you still have to know some basic counters to them, even if it's just 1 or 2, or what to do when someone makes the grapple. So don't be afraid to hand fight up close or to push the hand protecty business end of a saber somewhere near a mask and go, hi guy, you got in too close, or hi gal, you got in too close, because not all women are small either. If you're a gal who knows how to wrestle, this is a big advantage. It's mostly a big advantage because you're really good at body positioning, but don't be afraid of that.
I think one thing we have to address when it comes to grappling being grabbed is this can be a big trauma trigger for a lot of people. And so training that, you have to be very what's the word? Conscious?
Conscious.
Conscious of that and sensitive to that, and train it in a way that's not going to trigger people's trauma and have them, crying for the exits, having a terrible week and never coming back. Mm-hmm. I don't have any advice for that.
I do, and it's going to get me canceled immediately, so let's talk about it.
Okay, all
so
right.
When I first started teaching, I taught absolutely no difference between the men and women. And then I bumped into someone else and was doing other training and was like, no, are you kidding? No. And I talked to some high school coaches. And there are big differences between coaching men and women, and you have to be sensitive to those differences. If I look across the room and I go, yo, Roman, your kung fu sucks, well, he's going to laugh at me and go, oh, yeah, shit, and fix his thing. If I turn to Kat or somebody else, now Kat's heard this a gazillion times, but if I turn to a female student and go, yo, your kung fu sucks, I have just destroyed their training day. Because as a general rule, and there are always exceptions, what the guy hears is, fix your fucking technique. What the gal hears is, you are worthless. Yeah. It's the your part that matters rather than the kung fu part that matters. So you do actually have to pay attention to the psychological differences and to make sure you tailor your instruction to the psychology of the person you're teaching. Now, anybody who teaches anyone would say, oh, you already have to do that for every student. Obviously, you have to do that anyway. But you do have to be a little bit extra sensitive for certain red button issues, and grabbing women for no apparent reason is one of those. As Kat just amply demonstrated, she'll beat me later. It's okay. I didn't need that eyeball. All right, so quick things you need to be aware of. Bone structure matters. Women are built lighter, period. Some women have really dense bone structure, really, really solid, can tank lots of hits. The vast majority of the women who show up to your schools are not going to be those people. If you get them, great. They can tank a blow as much as any other dude can and just keep on trucking. But alignment is going to really matter for safety for the vast majority of your women fencers in a way that the guys have to pay attention to, but not first day. Teach everybody that alignment head on. Be a bastard about it for both sexes that walk through your door, and however many genders, because there's a limit to how much I want to get canceled this week. And then everybody knows it from the get-go. And you can have students reinforce it. Hey, if you see somebody doing this, be a good fencing friend. Pay attention to the fact that you may have to make personal adjustments to your size and build. Everybody does it. But really, really be aware that when you're coaching, different body shapes and different body forms means they may not look like you do when they fence. And that's especially the case if you're navigating a really big difference in build. Anything else to round us out?
Nope.
All right, have fun and happy fencing. We've got more videos and content coming, so if you liked what you saw and it was useful for you, please stab the like button, /subscribe, and punch the little bell icon so that you're notified immediately when new content comes available. Thanks, and go do the thing.